Character profiles of Future Shock, but at least I'd have a complete and concise story. Of all the Bethesda Terminator games, Future Shock and Skynet are easy
Hey
recommendations.
guys, welcome.
The first one is
Today we're playing
ambitious
some
but
kind of
far
RPG
too
game I
obtuse
found on
and frustrating
Roblox.
to play by today's standards. 2029 has a
Yes,
cool
my little
aesthetic and
fox friend is
surprisingly
named
few
Holo.
customization options, but
If you
the
know, you
good
know.
basic movement system and shooting mechanics might be too big of a hurdle for some people. Future Shock and Skynet feel a lot
We're gonna
like
have a
the
great
indie
time
game
playing
we
this
play
game.
today, if a bit
We're
slower
gonna make it
and
into a
strict
series.
level-breaking design.
Oh, I get it. It's the third act too, because everyone just recreates that one instead of doing anything new with the franchise.
Terminator Salvation was that done too hard, my God.
Yeah, it wasn't for real.
That shit was busted. Here's one of those sussy Skynet terminals. Housed within each of them is a component of Skynet's future program. Each one more big than the last. We have to log them to ensure a state or enough signal future comes to pass us.
Okay, dial it back. Aw, hell yeah! Now this is the kind of game I've been wanting from this retrospective. An old school PS2 game with low poly muscles, dark and dingy graphics, and for some reason gameplay like Devil May Cry. You got dual wielding pistols, doing sick ass melee attacks against Terminators with fixed camera angles and a thrash metal soundtrack. This is insane! Dawn of Fate is a prequel to the original Terminator and chronicles the final days of Kyle Reese's life in the future war before being sent back in time.
Fuck you, asshole.
The story is narrated by General John Connors, who explains that he knows what the future holds, and he's really just guiding all the pieces in place. John, he's 20 years older than me, but he keeps calling me things like Dad and Pops and my biological father. It's just a cute nickname he has for me. He's a quirky guy, you know? You can play as TechCom Rebel soldiers Kyle Reese, Catherine Luna, and Justin Perry, who all play basically the same, but they have different weapons. Perry's rocket launcher pistol thing is by far the best gun in the game. While this does have fixed camera angles, many of you whippersnappers will be elated to hear that it doesn't have tank controls. So while that does make you a lot more nimble compared to the enemies, it does have that problem with controls changing directions based on the placement of the camera. So when it switches to another angle, you have that brief moment where you have to stop walking and start again based on the new way it's oriented. Tank controls were kind of brilliant that you never had that problem at all, but too many people thought it was stiff and clunky, so this goofy-ass maneuver happening every time the perspective shifts is the compromise. We pay a high price for no tank controls. There is a first-person aiming mode option, but it never really felt like I needed to use it because the lock-on is good enough that I was able to move around and see pretty well on third-person mode. I did find a funny exploit that if you lock on and then quickly switch to first-person, the reticle is always accidentally locked on your enemy's neck and insta-kills them because it registers that as a headshot. They went for a really cinematic approach with this one because the cutscenes are surprisingly long when you get to them, and there's a lot of dialogue and character interactions with the other rebels. There are 10 levels in this game, taking you closer and closer to the time machine facility on a trek from LA to NORAD, Colorado. To the game's credit, they did seem to put some effort into recreating all that stuff that Kyle Reese mentioned could happen on his way to the past.
Their defense grid was smashed. We'd won.
Is that when you captured the lab complex and found that the time displacement equipment?
The Terminator had already gone through. Connor sent me to intercept, and they blew the whole place.
They even showed a recreation of the picture without spending money on Linda Hamilton's likeness. The Terminator they showed also looks nothing like Arnold. Like, it's pretty obvious this is meant to be the phone book killer from the first movie, but he's got black hair and a goatee. He looks like a buff Tony Stark. The music in this is so un-Terminator-like, but I fucking love it. They got Fear Factory on this game's soundtrack. All this does is make you feel more powerful. Like, I'm not afraid of the machines. I feel invincible with this playing. They're afraid of me. The biggest snag preventing this game from being awesome is that the combat can be frustrating and repetitive. Infinitely respawning Terminators just keep teleporting in or walking in through designated doors, and most, if not all, mission objectives require you to kill all of them before you can pass. But they just keep showing up. At some points, I was just in the same room for like 10 minutes, killing the same 3 enemies over and over, wondering if the game was bugged or if I was doing something I shouldn't be doing to progress. And there's also times where they take a second to appear, so you get this awkward moment of pacing around waiting for them to finally spawn in so you can mop the floor with them again. But sure enough, eventually the game decides after 30-odd enemies that you killed enough and tells you to leave. That tedium kills a lot of momentum this game has. It makes you just want to get it over with faster instead of enjoying it. It's not difficult by any means, it's just pretty slow and awkward at times. I encountered a weird bug where the brightness and beam audio all randomly were set to 0 for no reason. The turret sections are a little clumsy because your aiming is so imprecise and it just sort of snaps to certain placements like it's on a grid and you can't see. And you can't line up shots on Terminators if they're not exactly aligned with your reticle. Like, there's no splash damage on these rockets. You have to hit them dead on. I don't hate this game. I can make it work, but it needed some polish before I'd say it's up to par, especially in 2001 when other games are getting so much smoother and easier to play.
It's your time to push your limits. U.S. Army Reserve.
Time can make you change your mind. Girl, will you ever be mine? The bosses tend to just be large machines that soak up a lot of damage, like the hunter-killer tanks and planes, or these spider-loader robots that carry things. The solution to most major problems is to bring a C4 to the side of whatever your guns can't kill and then find your covenant. Are you kidding me? You can't just time travel another one on top of the one I just killed. The real highlight is when you finally meet the first proper T-800 in the game, and it's treated like an event. Yes. Now this is the amazing machine that killed me both. Finally. The boss fight has multiple phases where you blast away his disguise piece by piece, and it changes his moveset as you pick it apart. It's a really solid moment for the game, which the rest of it a lot more. There's this odd subplot with no payoff about these two brothers who felt like John Connor betrayed them, so they joined Skynet and became cyborgs to sell out humanity. Kyle Reese, stoned, traitor. When a traitor betrays a traitor, is he still a traitor? I think not. I don't know how you go up to the Skynet and say you want to betray humanity. I feel like they just shoot one side of the robots. Like, they don't negotiate. But then there's a line at the end, like they were playing both sides and didn't want Skynet to win after the humans destroy it. It worked perfectly. Our enemies are crippling each other. They show up periodically throughout the game, but never actually affect the plot in a substantial way. They're just kind of there. I feel like this was intended to prop up a sequel's plot. I guess the last two missions are technically the opening couple of minutes from Terminator Genesis, since both depicting what is essentially the same event in the timeline. It's interesting that the time machine looks really similar in both. I wonder if there's some connection behind that. Because this is a video game, and a malicious piece of software that wants to kill all humans is a bit too abstract, Skynet's main processor is actually a giant metal brain with an eyeball and rocket launchers in it that you can just blow up. It's ironic that this game suggested that there was a central core in NORAD when the movie that came out the following year was just like, oh, you can't blow up Skynet, it's the internet basically. It's not housed anywhere, that bitch is in the cloud. You can't shoot the cloud. Regardless, Kyle Reese manages to successfully kill Skynet with a gun and then travels back in time to get laid. Weird how he never mentioned any of this to Sarah. Maybe he could have just told her with a big robot eye, but he's just blow it up 30 years earlier. But much like Ultron, Brainiac, or any other self-respecting evil AI, Skynet's got a working backup ready to launch and restore its files. I wish I was that smart because I accidentally lost all of my gameplay footage for this game and had to spend 3 days replaying. Ugh.
So many corners and recesses of the Terminator mythology to explore, and a movie lets you explore a certain number of them, but you only have 2 hours in a movie. In a video game, you have as much time as you want to spend. It allows.
This film was notable as the only one in the series where John Connor is dressed like Charlie Kelly. Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines, developed by Black Ops Entertainment. There was a time when I think it became a clause in actors' contracts that they had to provide their voice and likeness to video game tie-ins to major franchises. This was back when video games were a bit simpler and much faster to produce. We're probably seeing more as an extension of merchandising, like action figures, clothes, and posters, McDonald's toys, and cereal boxes, rather than how we see games now, which are on par with massive tentpole movie productions involving hundreds, if not thousands, of artists and technical staff. Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines is a product of that transitional period.
I've been asked many times about video games. I always felt like this doesn't look like me. I mean, this is not my face. So I always stayed away from that if it is not my likeness or if it doesn't do the movie justice.
It's proud to be the first game in the franchise to have Arnold involved as well as the other two leads. This is the first one he signed on for because it was probably the first to have the technology to accurately capture his likeness. Maybe that comes across as a bit of an expensive waste for a first-person shooter game, but he's displayed in all his chiseled glory in cutscenes and 3D fighting sequences designed to capture the savage hand-to-hand Terminator-on-Terminator violence of the movie. He also loves to talk and give himself words of encouragement.
Lock and load. Excellent. Lock and load.
Even before being reprogrammed by the Resistance.
Excellent.
Maybe this TA-50 is glitchy. Terminator 3 is probably the lightest on story in the entire franchise, and is mostly just a single breathless chase sequence that lacks the philosophical gravitas of T2, or the love story amid a grisly horror movie of T1. Its dialogue is simple and utilitarian, but also mostly undercut with deadpan.
Drop dead, you asshole!
I'm able to comply.
3 is the one that's trying hard to be the funniest in the franchise.
Talk to the hand.
Which I guess helps make the subject matter of the end of the world, mass casualties, and inescapable destiny go down a little easier. You play as the dry-witted, comical chuckle-buck TA-50 named... you know what? This is the only one I don't have a name for. Someone always calls them something in the movies.
Here now. He's gonna be called a goddamn phone book killer.
Uncle Bob. Uncle Bob, this is Enrique.
Uncle Bob, huh?
But not this guy. Well, unless you count...
Patience on it.
And... Oh, bitch! Wait your turn!
On it.
Bitch!
On it.
Bitch! Alright, it's Honey Bitch. Moving on. The team behind this one seemed really excited to recreate moments in the movie, but also to show the scenes between scenes.
The game's basic premise in general, they're actually mirroring the movie in addition to adding some sequences that are normally off screen or away from the movie.
I guess for them that meant having 60% of the game be a prologue before he even time travels. So this starts earlier in the film with a grizzled Catherine Brewster / Connor capturing and reprogramming Unhinged to aid the Resistance. That's neat, you don't see that often. Arnold gets a pass because he's playing an emotionless robot.
I didn't know that you've been reprogrammed.
Affirmative. How many people want to live?
Stop the car! Please, I'm sorry, I can't. You shouldn't take off those cops. Huh? Talk to me!
Boy, are these other two non-voice actors. Oh, complaining about the turrets in Dawn of Fate was foreshadowing. Like, a simple first-person shooter shouldn't be too difficult, but the sensitivity on the joystick aiming is absurdly high. I barely flick the stick and look straight up at the ceiling or straight down at the ground. Then I turn it down one notch lower, and suddenly he's turning so slowly that I won't be able to legitimately line up a shot on anything. I was going to chalk this up to age, but then I remembered this came out 2 years after Halo Combat Evolved. Even on the original Xbox version, that game is still buttery smooth. There's just not really an excuse for the precision to be this scuffed. And I'm not emulating this. I'm literally playing this off the PS2 disc. I think they added this auto-target mode like GTA San Andreas to compensate though. And with the Terminator's scanning abilities, it seems reasonable that they'd be able to aim like that, but it doesn't seem to target the enemy closest to you. It often feels like it's picking them at random. The hit detection is finicky, so sometimes your shots pass directly through enemies without damaging them. Switching weapons is a pain in the ass because it has to cycle through all of them, and there's no dedicated button for each weapon. Maybe this is one of those things that works smoother on a PC, like the number buttons for switching weapons in Half-Life. But if I want to switch from my rifle to my laser gun, I have to cycle through the pistol and the melee first. And it's slow enough that it causes me problems in combat when I can't get to the right gun fast enough, and I'm taking damage. He's so leisurely about getting out his weapons and so slow to reload. These animations are ridiculous. Hurry up, kid! There's a sort of cool thing where as you take damage, more of your endoskeleton is exposed, and you can see the skin chipping away from his hands in combat, and the rest of him when it turns to the third-person perspective now and then. Health items that restore your synthetic Austrian hide are infrequent enough that it's annoying, and there's no inventory system, so you stack up like them looking around. They're styled like the power cell batteries he has in the game, which is cool. You have a Terminator detective mode vision that scans stuff and highlights weak points you can destroy to progress, but sometimes I'll turn it on just because the bright red filter makes the environment easier to navigate, because this game's dark as shit and there's no brightness setting in the options menu. That's a party foul! You have to have a brightness slider in a 3D game. Dawn of Fate had one, come on! Other times, the scan mode just takes a drab, dark gray environment and makes it look like a virtual toy that's equally difficult to navigate. And these distracting text overlays, while technically movie accurate, really clutter the frame with useless information that I can't even focus on. The game is really bad about making destructible objects in the environment stand out. It always looks exactly like any other post-apocalyptic scenery in rubble. Its graphics are too dark and dingy. I can't see shit half the time I'm playing this on my TV. Is this that Black Mirror everyone told me about? This game is bland to look at in all the future war segments. The Skynet facility level was such a breath of fresh air. My god, levels I can see! What a concept! Better get used to going to the map screen though, because doors are sometimes hard to make out in the ugliness of the environment. So you're liable to walk past them a dozen times before noticing. The fighting game sequences are a half-baked addition. The tutorial has you fight another Model 101, which is cool. This is the first example of this mirror match in the franchise well over a decade before Pops vs. the Phone Book Killer happened. These segments are a novelty, but they lack the same sophistication of a proper fighting game. The movesets are very limited. You're going to be seeing the same handful of grab animations repeated constantly. The game's difficulty the first half is really hard
recording. This will come out sometime next week.
There's also just not that much material for the movie
After I get all the birthday stuff done, so
doesn't work unless you have dozens of enemies to
hope y'all enjoyed this video. Have a happy Thanksgiving, because I probably won't post it during Thanksgiving on the gaming channel. I have recorded 2 videos today, and this was the last one. This is like a chill video for next week's posting. My last video is going to be like a funny hang out with friends video. So I hope y'all enjoy these videos. I'll work hard. I'll probably work hard on editing and I know the last one I'm going to
there's a rule in screenwriting
edit
called
a bit,
coming
but this one, this was going to be
You
full
don't need
on.
to show the character finding his keys, get in the car, drive for 20 minutes, or park his car, walk into the
I hope y'all
diner,
enjoyed it.
then wait for this friend to show up so you can have an important conversation. You just fucking cut to them talking in the diner, because the rest
And
of
if
that
y'all
is
know the
important.
reference to
A
that
movie
thing,
would have shown
comment
this
down below.
flashback like this.
Y'all real one.
What do you
Thanks
say?
for watching. Peace, Butter Slayers.
I killed